It's Fernando Ruiz Art. Every now and then I get a request for a topic that that I can't believe I haven't talked about before. And this is one of those. A recent subscriber, fan, reached out and suggested that I talk about feet. And I get asked about that every now and then. Feet is almost right up there with hands. So that's what we want to talk about tonight. And I can't believe I've never done anything on feet before. I have a memory that I feel like I have, but what I may have done was a quick thing as in another video as part of a broader topic. So we're going to discuss feet tonight, and if feet give you problems, you don't seem to be alone. So as with everything else, anything that gives you trouble, my advice, my approach to things is always take that complicated shape and simplify it, reduce it to nothing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, if you remember my discussion on the basic shapes. Oops, let's get that into the shot. There's 6 basic shapes, and I'm pretty sure I have a video on those, so you can check those out in my my library. But one of the basic shapes is the wedge, and the wedge is one of the basic building blocks that we can use for the foot. The wedge and the sphere. Using the wedge and the sphere, you pretty much have the basis of the foot right there. So the ankle can come down, the sphere makes the heel, and then the wedge makes the body of the foot. Now the wedge, we can kind of extend, and we need to break right at the tip because the foot has kind of this major hinge right about here, which is what lets us take a step. So when we do draw that wedge, and let's take a look at the wedge from the side. Okay, actually, this becomes the whole foot from the side, the wedge and the sphere combo. But we also have to remember that that wedge needs that hinge, okay? That hinge that lets us bend the foot and take a step. Without that hinge, walking becomes a lot more difficult. So that hinge becomes the basis, or it becomes what lets us draw a realistic stepping foot. Okay? The wedge and the sphere, that's all you need. Now, one of the things that makes the foot such a difficult topic, subject, is that often we're seeing the foot from odd angles. We don't always see the foot in perfect profile like this. Very often we're seeing the foot from straight on, or maybe a 3/4 view, and what happens is the foot starts looking not so much like the foot anymore. So again, don't worry about the foot and the heel and the toes, just worry about the wedge. And let's say we're turning the wedge, say straight on, okay? Straight on like this. So it's basically looking like a ramp or a trapezius? A trapezoid? Does this qualify as a trapezoid? Let me know. Let me know in the comments below. So, but it's definitely a wedge that we're looking at straight on. Now let's attach the leg. Now I don't know if I've ever mentioned this before, but in any of my videos, but when it comes to ankles, okay, the ankle bone sticks out. We often think of the ankle bone just being prominent on the outside of the leg of the foot, but it's actually prominent. It sticks out on both sides, but it sticks out a little higher on the inside than it does on the outside. So it's more prominent on the outside and lower on the outside than it is on the inside. So if we were to draw a line, a straight line from the outermost point of the outer ankle bone to the outermost point of the inner ankle bone, that line would be at a tilt like that. Okay? Okay, so getting back to the overall foot. Once you have your wedge in place, it's a matter of softening it, okay, to make it look more like a foot. And remember that front part, okay, that front part that bends, this part is going to be closer to us than the main body of the foot. So if this is the main body of the foot over here, there's a section of this foot that's coming out at us. Now this being the outside of the foot, this being the inside of the foot, we're going to have that big toe is going to be over here, and the foot is going to arc a little bit and reach the big toe. Now, toes are a whole lot simpler than fingers because, well, they're shorter and there isn't a whole lot to them. So I often draw my toes as just these little oval shapes. Okay, the big toe being sometimes I give the big toe a little bit of a secondary spherical shape at the end just to make that big toe seem a little bit more bulbous. And I usually will just indicate pretty much one hinge on the other toes, making them look curled down a little bit. But there is your foot in a straight-on view. So there's some foreshortening involved in here, which is what makes the foot a little trickier. But that's how you do it. You start out with that wedge, turn that wedge, then you soften it. You soften it, you start to shape it. As with every other thing that I've ever talked about, that I've ever tried to show you in these videos, my big recommendation for how do you improve this, get better at this stuff? Doing it over and over. Draw lots of feet. Draw lots of feet, all different feet from all different angles. Draw feet with shoes, feet that are bare, feet coming at you, feet walking, feet sitting or laying, feet from the underside, feet from above. As many feet as you can get in. Do that, and you won't be defeated. Get it? Oh, did I step in it that time? I have much to atone for. Get it? Atone. I'm expecting this is where the big laughs are at. Okay. Let's do something a little more complicated and make me shut up a little bit more. Let's do the ever dangerous 3/4 view of the foot. And that's when the foot is not quite in a front view, not quite in a side view. So what we're doing is we're pulling the sphere a little bit more behind the wedge. Okay, we start out with the wedge, of course. I'm going to throw in a leg just so that we know where we're at. Shape it into the heel. Throw in a little bit of a curve, that swell of the foot body. And now as we come forward, okay, we're going to start seeing the toes and the smaller toes and the little pinky toe. And we'll see that ankle bone popping out on this side. Don't forget, nice arch in the foot. And this becomes more of a foot in a 3/4 view. Now, something people have specifically asked about are, and very naturally so, feet, wearing shoes, wearing boots, that sort of thing. And really, when I'm doing that, of course, I can. Now, normally for me, okay, I'm a little bit beyond the wedge and sphere stage. So when I'm drawing a foot, I generally draw really kind of what looks to be like a socked foot. Okay, just a foot in socks. Now, when we look at your basic superhero boot, superhero shoe, many classic superhero costumes, the boot is really a little more than a colorful sock. It's usually not much more than this. You know, maybe we see a little bit of an ankle. Sometimes we get a wrinkle around here, but there's really very little more to it than that. Sometimes maybe we get a wrinkle around the ankle where the foot might bend, but very little more than that. Nowadays, of course, we're getting kind of detail happy. So again, I start out with like a bare foot or a socked foot. Really, I don't deal with the toes. And let's go with like Captain America's Buccaneer boots. Okay, the big flap, the big pirate boots that Cap wears. There's going to be some folds right there. And then the foot slants forward, swells out, and comes down. Now, because I want to give Cap a little more of a meatier shoe, more of a heftier shoe, maybe I'll go and give him some of that stitching going down the middle. Maybe I'll even give him a sole, a bottom to the foot, to the boot. Continue the stitching. Sometimes there's a little bit of a shadow here to indicate that bend in the plane as the foot comes forward. And there we go. Now, another little trickier part to the foot, sometimes we see the underside of the foot. You know, sometimes we see these really, like say when we're drawing Spider-Man and we see the underside of the foot, because Spidey has always got his legs up in the air, you know, he's swinging around and all these crazy poses. Now, a lot of times what I see is people will draw like this flat footprint shape, and there's like no foot there whatsoever. This is just the sole of a foot. So don't do that. There needs to be a body to that foot. Now, the underside of the foot, you have this big pad alongside this smaller pad. The foot curves in the middle and then comes back out for the heel, and that's what we're seeing in the underside. A little bit of a point where the toe would be sprouting out, but there you go. Maybe we see a little bit of an edge to it like this, but now this becomes a foot that does have a body to it. Okay, and sometimes there's a little bit of a shadow where that bend is, like so. But there we go. This is a meatier foot. So what do you think? Does this help you? Are these steps in the right direction? Oh, I better stop before you boot me out of here. Huh? Huh? Oh, come on. When it comes to humor, I'm a shoo-in. All right, that's it for me. So I hope you guys found this amusing, if not useful. And as always, keep practicing, keep watching. If there are any other topics that I may have missed, as always, and believe me, I've got some topics down. I've got the list. But never hesitate to let me know if I'm forgetting anything. All right, thanks a lot, everybody. Keep watching, keep clicking like, keep sharing, and subscribe if you haven't. And as always, keep drawing. See you next time, everybody. Thanks a lot.